But then she comes in, and you fully expect her to be like a Beauty and the Beast moment where she's like, "What are you doing here? Get out!" But she doesn't. She does the opposite. And she's like, I'm so glad. I was waiting for you to ask to come in to be able to see the room. I was just waiting. I would have gladly shown it to you if you'd just asked." Welcome to the club. This is Cracking the Spine, a book club that actually talks about books. Today, we're talking about the book Rebecca by, it's a French sounding name. Let me, it's pronounced Daphne du Maurier, I think, maybe. Anyways, the way I got into this book is I knew it was a musical. Like several years ago, I came across the Korean version of this musical, and it's like the title song, Rebecca. And I thought that it was just this amazing performance. I would watch it over and over. Then I looked up the play and found out that it wasn't very popular in English. It hasn't been very successful in English at all, but it's really popular in German and, of course, in Korea and various other places. But it was like, maybe I won't like it. And I knew that it wasn't a fun, happy play. So I was like, not for me at the time. And then I was browsing for a new book, and I was like, I want something different. And I saw the title. That's the play. That is very different from my tastes in plays, so I'll give it a shot. Broaden my horizons. Before I go any further, spoiler warnings. I'm going to talk about the plot. I'm only halfway through, but I'm going to talk about the plot that I've read in detail, in spoilery detail. So, be warned. Go read it, come back. It is a romance novel, and not in the modern definition of that word. It's not about, ooh, we're in love and forbidden or whatever. It's in the classical definition of romance, which is pretty much drama. Many dramatic things happen, and usually it ends poorly. It's a romance. And I think the cover of the book says like a romantic suspense novel or something like that. Suspenseful romance. So that was intriguing. Usually I am, or at least I was in years past, like anti-romantic, because it was like, oh my gosh, everyone's being so stupid. Just tell the person what you're thinking in your head, say it out loud, and we could just not have all these issues anymore. Come on, people. So, but I wanted to broaden my horizons, so I picked it up. And at first, I really enjoyed reading it. It felt like prose, like very poetic and feelings oriented, and it was really interesting and almost cathartic to read because we were in the main character's head and she just thinks really deeply and descriptively about what she's feeling and what she wants. And it's like, it was really interesting to read because it's like, that's how I feel. Like, that is and for such a logical person as myself, feelings are hard for me to articulate because they're all squidgy, feely, and I like black and white. So it was really fun for me to follow what she was feeling logically in words, but identify with it emotionally in ways that I didn't have words for, but this person did. So I really enjoyed that for like the first couple chapters. Then I got so annoyed at the character, and this is probably my anti-romance thing. So we've got a main character. She remains nameless. I don't think we're ever going to figure out what her name is. She is young, just out of school, and she has become this traveling companion for this older, crass American lady who's, I'm pretty sure this is like Victorian era. That's how I've been imagining it. So this lady is just inappropriate for the era, like asks weird questions and makes introductions that you're not supposed to make. And she's just this main character is constantly embarrassed by this woman, but is so young and immature that she can't like do something about it. And so they're in Monte Carlo and they're having breakfast, and a man walks in to the restaurant of the hotel they're staying at. He sits down, he's alone, and the crass Americans, oh my gosh, that's Mr. De Winter. He's whatever, high society. I want him to be in my basket of people that I know so I feel important. And she like vaguely mentions that his wife just died. And then she makes this wildly inappropriate introduction, approaches him without being introduced, that kind of stuff. And so they like have a meeting, and the main character's just utterly embarrassed and oh my gosh, this man hates us now. And then they move on. But the American lady gets sick, and the doctor says, "You must stay in bed for a week," or whatever it was. No getting out of bed. And so our main character is suddenly free. She's not constantly being with this loud presence. And so she's free and she goes down and she's, I'm gonna have a meal by myself, and I can do it like quietly in a corner and I don't have to have everyone staring at me because this woman is disgusting. So she goes down and Mr. De Winter is there. And she's like, "Oh crap. This I'm already pre-embarrassed because we had such an awful thing yesterday and he hates me and he has judged me and I am lacking." And so she sits down in the restaurant and like knocks over her water or something and it spills all over the tablecloth, and Mr. De Winter gets up and he's like, "Oh, are you all right?" And she's like, "It's fine. The waiter will just change the tablecloth and we'll be okay." And he's like, "No, no, no, no. You will come and sit with me." So they have breakfast together, and during this week that the American's in bed, they spend a lot of time together and they enjoy each other's company. But we spend a lot of time inside her head and what she thinks and what she feels. And there's so much many words to describe her that it takes a long time for at least me, but I think the intention is it takes a long time for the reader to realize that Mr. De Winter doesn't say very much. Like he speaks, but he doesn't give any information. I'm pretty sure they say that he doesn't even say his wife's name until after they're married. Like he might just say my wife. And he gets all broody every once in a while, but like he doesn't say her name. Like we never learn how she died. This is just this is not a healthy relationship. But the main character's too young and too inside her own head, which I think is the point. But like it's annoying once I figured it out to realize that this is not a healthy relationship. This is not a healthy man. And you are an immature woman. Like, we need some time and some honesty here for this to become healthy. So they spend all this time together. She decides she's in love with him, but it's like a weird kind of love. It's like a I'm afraid of you love, like afraid that he's going to reject her. But this is the first time she's felt seen and cared for, and so she loves him. It also doesn't feel very healthy, which is so romantic. So the American gets better and she's like, "We're gonna leave tomorrow," because her sister or somebody decided they were gonna leave tomorrow. So she's pack it up, we're leaving. And the lady's like, or the main character, "Oh no, I have to leave him and I'll be stuck with this awful American forever and my life will be ruined." And, spend several pages acting out in her head exactly what's gonna happen, word for word, like putting words in Mr. De Winter's mouth, saying exactly what's gonna happen with the American, and she just goes on and on and on and on and on. Like, how about you take this very limited time you have left to go talk to the man or something, or like run away, I don't know, do something. And stop thinking about how awful it's gonna be and do something about it. So I can only handle romance for so long. I can only appreciate it for so long. So eventually she goes down. Actually, she runs to his room, pounds on the door, and like he's just woken up. He's like halfway through shaving. And she's like, "I'm leaving today. And I just wanted you to know." He handles it a lot better. She's like, come in, stand right there. I'm gonna go in the bathroom and get dressed, and then we're gonna go down and have breakfast." And she's like, "Breakfast? But I'm leaving. Didn't you hear me?" And he's like, "Yes, breakfast." So he goes. He like takes 5 minutes to get ready, and they go down and have breakfast. And she's like, "I'm too upset to have any food," but she doesn't actually say that. She just like she's when she actually talks out loud, she's very timid and uncommunicative. And when we're in her head, she's this loud and dramatic and overreacting to everything, and which is fine. But I would like to know that as the person talking to an extent. So he orders breakfast, which includes some tangerines because I liked this bit of writing here. And he's like, this is going to sound really unromantic, but let's get married. I was going to ask you anyways, but you're leaving, so let's just do it now so that you don't have to go with this lady and have to come back. Let's just make it happen." And of course, she goes off in her head about how romantic it is and how wonderful it'll be and how she'll get to be mistress of his house and put on parties and goes on and on and on and on. And like part of her going on and on and on is like, oh, he doesn't look very excited by this, but that's just because it's last minute and like talks yourself out of this isn't a big romantic gesture, but it's okay, right? It's okay. And just completely either talks yourself out of it or talks over it with how amazing it's going to be. And they're sharing the tangerine at this point, and he's like, and then we cut out of her thoughts, and Mr. De Winter's like, "This tangerine is bitter. I don't want it." And then we cut back to her, and she's like, "Oh, it was bitter, and I didn't even notice it bitter in my mouth because I was thinking about all these things." And it's like, ooh, literary symbolism. Like it's bitter, and you're not noticing yet because you aren't paying attention. This is gonna be a bitter relationship. Pay attention. Anyways, of course she doesn't pay attention, and they get married, and off screen they get married, and they hang out for a while, and then they go back to Mr. De Winter's house, which is called Manderley, and they come back, and you meet Mrs. Danvers, who is the stern Victorian, not maid, head of household, head of staff, that person. And so they're greeted with this woman, and she just looks down her nose at the main character, which is we're getting it all from main character's perspective. So she's of course like over extrapolating how much this woman hates her in her head, and then the woman doesn't actually say anything awful. She's like, "Let me lead you to your room. Do you need anything?" And the main character's reactions are always like, "Oh, no, 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 I'm good. You can do whatever you want. You can run the house. I'm good. I'm good. Just don't look at me." And it's like, you have this wonderful imagination of how you're going to be this wonderful mistress of the house. And you throw parties and be comfortable and everyone's going to love you and blah, blah, blah. But you're not, this is not manifesting. This is the opposite. That you've put so much stock in being this person that you feel so judged by this other person that you just respond like a mouse. And it just feels like you're not doing anything. You're not trying. You're not, in real life, that's how real people are. But this is a book. It's supposed to go faster. We're supposed to get a whole character arc in over this reading of the book. And I don't feel an arc happening. It just feels like you aren't doing anything and you're thinking about how you need to do stuff and you're not acting on any of it. And you're such a small, icky person and I don't like you. So yeah. So they're at the house and you really realize that Mr. De Winter hasn't told her anything. Like they are married. I assume they have slept together. It's like they have been very intimate. And yet he has told her nothing. And she has not caught on because she is young. And in that era, not very knowledgeable. Anyways, so I'm upset at the main character. I'm upset at Mr. De Winter. It's like, how dare you bring this young woman into your life and into your house and into this group of people who are all still mourning over the death of your wife, and you haven't told her anything. You haven't even mentioned her name. How dare you?" Anyways, so they like have visitors, and she just spends the whole time with visitors thinking about how they're comparing her to Rebecca, the previous Mrs. De Winter, and she just acts so small and like doesn't even pretend to be confident. It's really frustrating. So at some point, her and Mr. De Winter go on a walk. And they have a dog, and the dog runs into some bay somewhere. And of course, the main character's like, "Oh, let's go after the dog. We gotta take him home, and we can't find him. He must be over here." And Mr. De Winter is, "You will not go over there." And she's like, "That's stupid. I'm gonna go get the dog." Which, some character development. And so she goes, and Mr. De Winter does not follow. And so we get a hint that something happened in the bay with the wife. But it's like she is making so many like insensitive remarks because you haven't told her what to be sensitive about. And she's doing insensitive things. And it's just frustrating. But at least we get some sort of clue from that. And there's some boathouse down there that's been abandoned for the last couple of years and covered in dust and blah, blah, blah. And so we get a hint that something happened in the boathouse. There's a reason why it's abandoned, and there's a reason why Mr. De Winter won't go down there. But that's all we get. And she goes back, and he's like trying to cover it up. And it's just this awkward, like, "You're red flag, red flag. Your relationship isn't healthy," which is what a romance novel is. I don't know what I was expecting, but it is really frustrating. But the suspense part started coming in, and I was like, okay, I'm a little more hooked. Give me more of the suspense. Show me more of the mystery. I want to know what's happening. And so the main character starts like asking questions and learning things just about who Rebecca was, and everyone loved her, and she was a really good mistress of the house, and they threw a lot of parties, and everyone was happy. She was a beautiful woman, inside and out. And we learned that I think she would just go out boating in the bay randomly on her own. And she went out one night and never came back. And then they found her body like 2 months later in some other city along the river or wherever, the body of water. So she's asking all these questions, and she's meeting the neighbors, and she goes out one day while Mr. De Winter is in London for some reason, and comes back and sees that Mrs. Danvers, the stern head of staff lady, is up in what we guess is Mrs. De Winter's bedroom, the previous Mrs. De Winter's bedroom, with some man. So she like sees him in the window, they see her and like quickly close the window, and she sneaks in, and there's some guy there with Mrs. Danvers, and she's like, "I'll check to see where she is and you can slip out." And so she just kind of hides, but then the guy like finds her and tries to do this weird charm thing of like, "Oh, I'm totally supposed to be here, and I'm friends with Danny, Mrs. Danvers. And let's not tell your husband because fake reason that didn't actually have any substance to it." And of course, her small response is, "Oh, of course, of course." So then Danny comes in, Mrs. Danvers, and she's like, "Oh, you've met. I will escort him out now." And so she's left alone, and she's like, where were they? What were they doing up there? So decides to go for the first time, see Mrs. De Winter's bedroom. So she goes up. Actually, I think she tries when she first gets there, but gets lost and then gets caught by Mrs. Danvers and then feels really stupid and like tries to slink out of it, and it was awkward. But this time she goes and she finds the room, and she walks in, and it is like perfectly preserved from the like there's still her nightgown is still out and hasn't been laundered, and all her clothes are still in the closets, and there's flowers, and like it looks like someone still lives there, but like it smells and feels like it's abandoned. You know how old rooms feel musty, dusty. And so she's like, "This is interesting." And still feels her Rebecca's better than me. Look at all her beautiful dresses. But then Mrs. Danvers walks in, and she's like completely changed. So up till now, she's been, short, curt. I just say the words that I need to get my job done. And I don't smile, and I don't like you, And it's kind of established by the other characters that she's been asking questions of, that Mrs. Danvers really grieved Rebecca's passing because she really loved Rebecca. Because everybody did. But then she comes in, and you fully expect her to be like a Beauty and the Beast moment where she's like, "What are you doing here? Get out!" But she doesn't. She does the opposite. And she's like, "I'm so glad. I'm so glad. I was waiting for you to ask to come in to be able to see the room. I was just waiting. I would have gladly shown it to you if you'd just asked. And look at her clothing. I see you've already opened the wardrobe, but isn't her clothing beautiful? And the nightgown, feel it. It's so soft. And blah 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 blah." And it's just like, have you snapped? Are you gonna kill me? Ah, I just felt like that. That's where the suspense really hit. He's like, "Oh my goodness, who are you? Can I fire you without you killing me? Please go away." Which of course she isn't, because she's a very small young woman. It's like, I would immediately, if I had a healthy relationship with my husband, immediately go to him and be like, "Hey, she needs some space. Like, she needs to grieve and physically let go of this house and the stuff in it, because she's using it to hold on to this woman that isn't here anymore and is dead. And it's driving her crazy." It's really scary. And then I hit the halfway point of the book and I had to stop because I had to make the episode. So where it stands is the suspense has really kicked in, and the main character is starting to question things and actually take action, which is refreshing. And so I'm hooked. I'm pretty sure this is not going to end well, which also makes the suspense better. So yeah, I'm ready to read. I'm excited to record this podcast so I can get back to reading this book. But I was listening to it on Spotify, and another reason why I stopped, because I was going to listen for another 20 minutes, because that was about the halfway point and it was the end of a track. But then I ran out of audiobook hours, so I have to wait another 2 weeks before I can start listening to it again. Mm. But I'm excited. I found it really, when I realized this, it took me a long time to realize that the main character doesn't have a name. And it's such good writing. Like, meta. Sorry, I can't. Main character doesn't have a name. And her big conflict is that she feels dwarfed. And she can't stand up to this idea of Rebecca. And Rebecca is dead. And in the book, Rebecca never appears. She's not in the book at all. But the author chose for the main character to not have a name and for the book to be called Rebecca. The story is about Rebecca, and the main character's issue is that she can't get out from under Rebecca. And it's just this meta, even the title of the book is driving the main character's conflict forward. And it's good writing, and it makes me excited. So I think reading the second half, I'm going to be paying more attention to, this is a story about Rebecca. But Rebecca's not in the story. I just think that's really cool. So I'm excited. So I'm pretty sure Mrs. Danvers has gone crazy and is going to do something crazy, like kill everybody. But I think even if any of these characters get out of it, I don't think they're going to be okay. They might survive and might even get out of it without any PTSD, but they're still super unhealthy and maybe not so sane characters. Mr. De Winter could be just as bad, and I don't know because he doesn't give anything away. So no one's getting out of this situation in any kind of healthy way. Everybody's gonna need therapy. Alright, question for the club. In reading the book or in listening me talk about the book, did you find the protagonist as frustrating as I did? Or did you find her more relatable? So I was really relating to her at the beginning, and then not. So maybe I don't have as much tolerance as I should. But I wonder if that was the same for you. Were you frustrated? Did you change your mind? Share your thoughts. Oh, and a bonus question. Who do you think the book is about? Is it about Rebecca? Or am I just, being too meta with that? Is it about the protagonist? Share your arguments. Okay, that's it for me. Back to my books. I'll be reading. Bye.